What's your initial reaction?
Obviously, really familiar with them. They're a really good team, and we have a lot of history with them. We know them well, they know us well, and we're looking forward to it.
Compared to where you guys were a month ago, like how do you kind of feel about the way the pitching is shaking out here, and how much do you kind of know how it's going to look for this series coming up at this point?
We're still having a lot of internal conversations about it. I think no matter how it shakes out, we're going to have a really talented pitching staff. There's going to be tough decisions and probably some really talented pitchers that won't make this roster. And I think it just speaks to the depth, the number of guys who've really stepped up this year. We've talked about this in the past. We may have to approach it in a more unconventional way. But the arm talent and the depth that we have, we feel really good about.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's lacking potentially in some experience we have in talent, but I think overall the group has performed really well, especially down the stretch. So, exciting to see these guys get out there and perform.
You guys had a conventional pitching staff in October. How do you guys sort of work with mitigating some of the variance that'll come with it if you're sort of using more guys, using openers like that might be introduced, obviously, in postseason scenario as opposed to like traditional starters?
I mean, there's variance that comes with that too. We can attest to all different outcomes and scenarios. The thing is you go through a really long season to put yourself in the best position you possibly can. And we've done that in the sense of having a bye from the first round, having home field in this round. And as you get through the season, certain guys are going to emerge, injuries are going to happen, things are going to happen over the course of a season that we expect and we know will happen. And then it's about putting the best 26-man roster together. And we feel good about the talent and feel good about, how this group has come together. And we're excited to watch them go out and compete.
Do you feel like you need one of the starters to emerge and take down 5-6 innings every turn, or is that part of the non-traditional piece too, where you might not need the rotation to look as conventional as teams usually have this time of year?
I mean, obviously, we're not looking past the division series, but the division series sets up with days off and things that allow for different scenarios than we've been afforded in the past. This game 1 off, game 2 is different. We've never had that before, and I think those off days are an advantage, and we'll use it and figure out the best way to use that to our advantage.
You handled the D-backs pretty well in August. Do they look like a really different team to you right now? And if so, how?
They're a good team. I think you could have seen us at a period in May and questioned how good we were. I think that's baseball, and the point is over a season, talent rises to the top, and they're in this position. They put themselves there because they're a good team, and so are we, and we're looking forward to squaring off against them.
Andrew, we're off there after game 1. Like, how would that kind of affect the efficiency if you guys made carry 12 or 13?
Yeah, those are conversations we're going to continue to have and work through, and that now that we know who we're playing, it should help clarify some things. But getting back to the point of it's a bunch of really talented guys and trying to figure out and talking with the group how best that matches up versus Arizona and fits is something that we'll do over the coming days.
And scared that you got that fluid spot, I guess. But what have you achieved maybe kind of showing that you get maybe feel comfortable starting one of those innings?
Yeah, I think it speaks to the depth of talent. There's a bunch of guys that can take down innings and have really shown well down the stretch, and those young guys have been fun to watch and watch them emerge and grow over the course of the season.
Andrew, how has your kind of working relationship with Dave evolved over the years? How have you seen him grow as a manager, and maybe how has he influenced your thoughts on baseball at all?
That's a deep question.
Yeah, get as deep as you can.
I mean, obviously, it's been a lot of years, and hopefully I'm way better at my job today than I was 8 years ago. And yeah, I think a bunch of, people working together, and in an ideal world, everyone brings out the best in one another, and we grow and we learn and continue to adapt and stay curious. And, I think Doc is better at his job today than he was 8 years ago, and I hope he would say the same. I hope Brandon would say the same about me. I think it's about learning and growing, and, I think the job that Doc did this season, his relentless optimism, I think, has been steady throughout the years, but just the way he, motivated this group through a lot of adversity. Our coaching staff did an incredible job. Our veteran players and the way they, helped keep the clubhouse together, and all of those guys did an unbelievable job of providing kind of a safe landing spot for our young players who came up and they were more comfortable, more confident, and we saw the success. So, I think Dave has always been really good at that. This year in particular, it really stood out. I would need more time and perspective. I live so much in the moment to look back, but I think he's really, really good at his job, and I think he did a phenomenal job this year. And we look forward to him, at the helm, through hopefully 11 wins.
He's talked a lot about how much he's enjoyed this group in particular, right? And obviously there was a lot of turnover in the offseason. Did you sense at all that maybe just, not to knock the previous group or anything, but, just getting new faces in here and stuff kind of energized him at all? Did you sense that at all?
I don't know. I think there's a natural kind of evolution. Our team in picking a year looked different than the year before. I think, that's the nature of this business. And, I think the collection of guys we brought in meshed really well with the group we had here. And that's something you don't really know. On paper in the off season, doing our homework and going through and finding the right fits both on the field and in the clubhouse is something that we're always focused on. And the way this group has come together has really stood out. And I think, it will be a strength for us this month.
How significant a role do you expect for rookie pitchers to play in October? And what gives you confidence that they're ready for it?
Yeah, they're going to pitch meaningful innings for us. They've shown over the course of the year they've been exposed to and handled different adversity and hot situations really well. Pep learning from last year. Emmett, when he's come back up, has thrown really well. Bobby, each and every start has been, he is hungry and learning from each pitch, each outing, and trying to continue to improve at every turn. So it's been a group that we've watched develop over the years, and then really starting to see them understand how to navigate major league lineups and games. So we feel very good about this group, and we'll go see them perform in the postseason on the biggest stage.
When you evaluate those young pitchers, are you looking at the body of work throughout the season, or does their recent success, the momentum they may have towards the tail end of the season play a bigger role?
We're always looking at body of work, but then, chunking out different time frames to be okay, there was an adjustment here, he, had a different cue at this point. We find those to be very meaningful and important along the way, and you can kind of see these guys grow, because I think our player development is the best in the game. You can only get those guys so far before they understand what it takes to get here, and you just kind of have to experience it. So it's been, I think it's super beneficial that these guys have gone through this, had some adversity, and now come out the other side of it throwing the ball really well.
Are you comfortable with Clayton Kershaw if he has to go on 4 days rest at some point, because inevitably it could happen? I know he hasn't done it since returning from the IL. Are you comfortable doing that in the postseason?
Yeah, from my standpoint, Kershaw's the greatest competitor I've ever seen, and it's one of those things that with all of our pitchers. You know, after an outing, we'll assess and evaluate where guys are. But we have a lot of confidence in Kirsch with the experience and just how good of a competitor he is. And, you know, to your point, we haven't done it in a little while. He feels like he's in a good position to do it, and so we're excited by that.
If someone told you guys like 3 or 4 months ago, you wouldn't have Dustin, you wouldn't have Tony, Julio, Walker would be back, like, you'd expect it to still be as confident as you guys kind of are and to have the pitching shaping up right now?
I mean, it's one of those things that in the off season, as we're talking about, you know, the depth, these are all guys that we were really excited about and have had and have very high hopes for. Didn't necessarily expect to count on them as early as we did, but to their credit, they took that opportunity and have learned and grown in so many ways that benefited the 2023 Dodgers and will continue to this month, but it will also continue to pay dividends for years to come.
With Emmett Sheehan specifically, he was down in the minors in August, came back in September. He seems to really have seized his opportunity. What particularly have you seen different from him this last month?
Kind of getting his routine dialed in and feeling, you know, understanding that he belongs here and he can not only compete but like really handle major league hitters. We saw it watching him in Double-A. The stuff that he was bringing to the table was so impressive, you know, so much so that we brought him straight here. And then to the point of like, hey, there's a little bit of a calibration and understanding what it takes to navigate a major league game. So that reset to go back down and kind of dive back into what made him really good before that. And he had a couple really strong games here as well, but just a little bit of a reset to come back up and like, hey, we believe in you. You can do this. Like now that he's come back up, I think there's a different level of confidence and focus on what he knows he needs to do.
I've got kind of a slightly random question.
Well, that's weird.
I noticed you, when you guys are watching the game, like a lot of you, the front office people seem to have like water bottles. You guys seem to be a very well hydrated front office. And I was
You understated it by saying this was random. Understating it, but going.
But I was wondering, like, did somebody tell you guys that, like, it, I don't know, enhances cognitive performance? Is one of you guys like a real champion of water and telling everybody stay hydrated? Or
I'm a very good.
coincidentally all just really love water?
I'm a very good water drinker. Thank you for noticing.
It's like an 80 water drinker, I'll give you that. And Ron Porterfield, when he was with the Rays, we were all together, he's like, if you're thirsty, it's too late. That always stuck with me. So there you go.
So that's the guy we should credit.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
That seems like a good one to end on.
Oh my God. Random question.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Al.